You ruined that girl's life and you killed my sister.
That nigga walked out and started fucking with my brother. You gonna see me for the rest of your life. You gonna see me for the rest of your life. You know we got it on us. We've been quiet for too long. We've been quiet too long. You said that your ass nigga. You gonna see me for the rest of your life. You pussy ass nigga. You should have told her who the fuck we was.
Well, they just beat the white shit off
You gonna see pink for the rest of your life. You told Holly who the fuck we was. We've been too quiet here. This is a real trouble. You confused. You know exactly who the fuck we are. You ruined that girl's life and you killed my sister.
On September 8, 2025, Romeca Blackmon dropped her son off at school and minutes later was shot 3 times by Quadajah Johnson. But the real chaos? Carlos Smith, the man both women shared children with, allegedly put Romeca in a chokehold moments before she was killed. What drives someone to juggle 2 families and think it won't explode? How does a father physically restrain one baby mama while the other shoots her? And why did witnesses say Carlos and Quadajah fist-bumped while Romeca lay dying? Who celebrates over a body? I'm breaking down this entire twisted case right now, so let's dive in.
Let's get into what happened today. So in court today, what transpired was, again, Quadajah Holly Johnson's attorneys, they argued for her to, essentially, they were pressing for her to be let out. Rightfully so. They can do that. That is their legal right to do that. She is pregnant. Prior to this, she did not have a lengthy criminal history. In fact, she had one thing that was a misdemeanor, so not even worth talking about. I mean, it was nothing on her record prior to this. So from a legal standpoint, that is something that an attorney will argue. It does not matter who it is. That attorney would then argue that my client is not a flight risk. My client has never, felt the need, and she had a CCW. She was a concealed carry holder, and there is nothing that indicates that she had fired that weapon at someone or pulled out her gun to shoot and kill someone, allegedly, because we don't know everything unfolded. We're seeing the aftermath video, okay? So prior to that, based on what we know, there's nothing that showed that in her history. So an attorney is obviously going to argue, my client is pregnant, she had no prior criminal history, she should be let out, is what they're going to say. So that was what they tried to have happen in court. That did not happen. That did not happen at all in court. What ended up happening was she was not let out yet again. So this is the second time. And in fact, she will reappear in court on January 7th. Here's where it gets interesting. So our field producer who was there said that Quadajah Holly Johnson's family was let out first out of the courtroom. And that they lingered a little bit in the hallway. And then after that, Romeca's family was let out, but there was still leftover from supporters of Quadajah Holly Johnson. I don't know who exchanged words with who. I'm not here to say that because I was not there to know. And even though my field producer, our field producer of Fox 32 was there, it was not clear who started the drama first. That is unknown here. What we know is words were exchanged. Now, allegedly, people are saying that, and obviously there's 2 sides, right? Really 3. There's people that are supporters of Romeca. She's had supporters this entire time. Since she died, people have been calling for Quadajah Holly Johnson to be charged. And then you have those of Quadajah Holly Johnson that believes that, she's innocent in this and that she did the right thing, okay? And then you have people that are just talking that know nothing about either one of them. They're just followers of the story. Well, we don't know what transpired outside of that courthouse, except for to say that some people are saying that Carlos approached the family. Okay, that's what some people are saying. Some people are, and the family being Romeca's family. Then other people are saying that it was the opposite. Okay, that it was the opposite, and that the family approached Carlos or said something to Carlos. I don't know which one is true. Okay, because we're looking, the video we have is everybody going out. You can hear stuff being said, arguing back and forth. It's both sides. And the video that we have, you hear both sides. It's no indication of who kicked it off in our video from when the argument transpired in the hallways of the Layton Criminal Courthouse. You hear both sides saying something. Now, outside, we don't know because we were not out there. T.T. Barfield, who recorded video outside, where you hear Romeca's sister basically saying, you ruined that girl's life, and you ruined that girl's life, speaking of Quadajah Johnson, and, you know, my sister, you know, is obviously not here. That was words that she was hurling at Carlos. So again, we don't know who kicked off what outside. What I can tell you is that from the video, we see that, at least this is what I'm being told, that Carlos is then put in handcuffs, brought back in the courthouse, and then family members of Romeca, too, one which we know for sure is a family member of Romeca or related to Romeca or known of Romeca, because that person has on pink, is also brought back into the courthouse and is in handcuffs with the sheriff. The other person is unknown. So we can at least say Carlos was brought back into the courthouse, and so was a member of Romeca's family, based on the fact that as a support to Romeca, the family and those who are allies of the family have been wearing pink. So that we do know. Let's get into what happens in a case like this. There's very heightened emotion. So who knows how this is going to play out. The judge has a very big job here. The judge's number one job in terms of the functionality of the courtroom, of the proceedings, is safety. That is the number one thing here. The problem is that as fights and stuff like this happens, people get in front of the courthouse. Who knows, they're going back to their cars. Who knows what is happening on the outside that could impact the inside of the courtroom. What happens is the judge has a very difficult decision to make. And in past cases, I have seen where judges will then limit who can be in that courtroom. So the judge may say media and only direct family of both individuals. When I say both, the victim and also those, the defendant in this case, can be allowed in the courtroom. So there's several different things that are happening here. So yes, there was a fight on the outside and people are pointing the finger, but what happened on the outside has implications for inside the courtroom. And in fact, there's other layers of what could happen on a legal level when there's this much emotion. I've had people completely threaten me who I do not know, who are now being investigated by different agencies by making threats through social media, all because of a case. In some cases, I think they may be family members of certain people. In other cases, I think they're followers of the case. But all of that kind of stuff outside of the courtroom, especially the way it played out today, has implications inside the courtroom. And I think that's the part that people forget. When you're calling for justice, no matter who you're calling for justice for, we've seen justice for Meeks, as that being Romeca, that was her nickname. We've seen justice for people calling for justice for Quadajah. The problem is when this kind of stuff happens, justice gets kind of muddy. And what I mean by that is you may not ever, depending on who you are, you may not get to see this play out because the judge literally may limit who can be in the courtroom. The judge may literally say the proceedings, therefore, moving forward, will just be this small group of people and you can watch on Zoom. So that is the problem with this, is that, you know, I get the emotion part of it. It is a lot of reasons to be mad. There's a lot of reasons to be emotional about it, but let the justice system do their job. Quit calling out people for saying things that you don't know anything about. It's a way to handle things in a proper professional way. And so far what I'm saying is people are getting emotional about this case, rightfully so, but you're threatening people in the process. So I don't know who threatened who in this case, but what I do know is 3 people were arrested. So, and I did hear that as well, that Carlos was jumped. That is what I've heard too. So there's been different things and varying accounts of what I heard. I heard he approached the family, and as a result, he got jumped. Okay. I don't know which one is true. What I will know here shortly is I am waiting on the Cook County Sheriff's Department to get back to me on their narrative of things. They will have an official narrative of what happened, and they will also be able to tell me if indeed all three individuals that we see in that video, if they were charged as a result of the fight outside of the courtroom or courthouse. And technically, the way that they brought them back in was interesting to me. Normally, if you fight inside of a courthouse, you are then, arrested and charged and all of that. They were fighting outside. So it's going to be really interesting to see how, if they're charged, why they're charged, what the situation is. So that's whose narrative I'm going to use in this case, because here's the problem. So many different people in this whole totality of a bigger picture of things are very upset. They're exactly right, Victoria. They're Facebook lawyers and they're Facebook prosecutors. And different people are trying to get their narrative out, which may not be the truth. And in some cases is not the truth at all. And so I'm going to rely in this case. And listen, it's a hard line to tote when you're a journalist, because you've also seen in the past, not saying this is related to Cook County Sheriff's Department, but you've also seen in the past where law enforcement, especially if it involves, a police involved shooting, they're not always telling the truth. So it's a hard line to tote when trying to, go through the weeds and figure out what the truth is. So in this case, I am going to see what the Cook County Sheriff's Department gives back, and that is the guidance in which I will follow, because there are so many different layers of this onion and people trying to get their side out. And it's true. It's hard to trust the system. And oftentimes we don't trust the system, and we have good reason a lot of times not to trust the system. But as of right now, that will be the guidance I follow, unless I was to get somebody who was a man on the street who don't know nobody involved who could tell me what happened, because you've seen where this side wants this narrative out, that side wants that narrative out. The bottom line is to get into the weeds of violence and fighting and all of that stuff. The justice system will take care of it some way, somehow. So that's what I will say. That's all that I can say about that. That's not my position to say. I don't know. I've had a loved one murdered. That person did go to prison for the rest of their natural life. I was young when it happened to me. I could understand. And I was emotional then. I was much younger. I can understand the emotion, and I get it. I'm not saying don't be emotional. You have every right to be emotional. There are so many lives that have been uprooted from this. But in order for justice to truly be served, and for you to have a front seat to whatever justice looks like for you, Quadajah's family, Romeca's family, you have to give it time to play out. And now the next hearing could be, the judge could easily say, you know what? We will only have immediate family here. This person, this person, this person, this media, this media. So it's hard. And yes, you're absolutely right, Quadajah Price, that it is easier for people to say when they're not the family. It's so easy, right? It's so easy to say what you woulda, coulda, should have done. And I agree with you. You're absolutely right. But I'm just saying, moving forward, hopefully there will be more security present, and that won't have to be the case, that moving forward, only a handful of people are allowed in a courtroom, because it has happened. That's all that I'm saying. But you're right. Everybody has a reason to feel how they feel. Lives have been uprooted. Children don't have parents. And it's a sucky situation all the way around. It's horrible all the way around. It absolutely is. So, Quadajah, I hope I got your name right. You've said one of the things that I agree the most with on this live. Easy to say when it's not your family member, and you're 100% right. It really is. Everybody could say what they think when it's not their family. So yeah, I will have a report on this on the news at 4 and 5. Again, waiting on the Cook County Sheriff's Department to at least give us the narrative that they come up with after talking to all three individuals, if indeed they're going to be charged. If they're not going to be charged, we may never know what really played out, because then they won't have a reason to fully question them and get this person's side, that person's side. And I was trying to see in the video if, hold on, let me go back to this. I'm trying to see if in that video they were wearing body cameras. Anybody? Because that's also relevant too. Yeah, there's a lot of body cameras going around. So, based off the body camera video, and since they were already outside, they should be able to give us a narrative of what unfolded because they had on body cameras and they were already outside before the fight jumped off. Yeah, there's, I'm trying to see, is everybody around? Hold on. Yeah, that's true. I see most people I can identify. This video is moving so fast, but I would say most of these members of the Cook County Sheriff's Police have on body cam, so they would be able to hopefully give us a narrative of what happened. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Any new details, you can catch it here on my page a little later. Again, I agree with Romeca. This is, you know, it's easy to say when it's not your family. And I think part of the problem is a lot of this is being fueled by secret Facebook groups that are hidden to the public, but only have allowed a few members in. They're fueling anger, hate, and some of it is a little misplaced. Like, you're mad, in some cases, at the wrong people. Like, some of what I've seen about certain people in this is like, they didn't have anything to do with the charges. You know, it's nothing they can do to bring charges. It's nothing I can do to bring charges. I'm not a Cook County prosecutor. I can't bring charges. And in fact, most people don't understand how it works. Police are the ones that present the charges to a Cook County prosecutor. In this case, and then they, depending on the kinds of cases, they can present it to a grand jury for indictment. There's so many different factors. And so a lot of the anger that I've seen online about, you know, Quadajah being in jail and all of this is misplaced. I mean, Tina has nothing to do, and Tina being, Tina McMiller being Romeca's family, has nothing to do with those charges. It's nothing she can do. She was not there. She was not a witness. She did not speak about being there because she couldn't, because she wasn't there. She has nothing to do with those charges. In my case, I wasn't there. I can't do anything about charges. I was not witness 1, witness 2, witness 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's a whole lot of anger, and I'm going to get that B kind of behavior online, and you guys are misplacing that anger at the wrong people.